The rain came down in sheets that Thursday evening, turning the streets of downtown Chicago into rivers of churning water. Emma Clarke gripped the steering wheel of her aging blue sedan, her knuckles white as she navigated through the downpour. The windshield wipers worked frantically but could barely keep up with the deluge. She was already running late to pick up her 7-year-old daughter Lily from the after-school program, and the weather was making everything worse. Emma's day had been exhausting, as most of her days were. Working double shifts as a nurse at Chicago General Hospital barely covered their modest apartment rent, utilities, and Lily's needs. There was never anything left over, never a cushion for emergencies, never a moment to breathe. But Emma had learned to survive on determination and coffee, pushing through each day with the hope that somehow things would eventually get better. As she turned onto Madison Street, her headlights illuminated a figure struggling along the sidewalk. An elderly man in an expensive-looking suit was hunched against the rain, moving painfully slowly with the aid of a cane. He wore no coat or umbrella, and his silver hair was plastered to his head. Emma's first instinct was to keep driving. She was already late, Lily would be worried, and getting involved with strangers was something her practical mind usually avoided. But as she passed him, she caught a glimpse of his face in her rearview mirror. He looked disoriented and exhausted, and something about his expression reminded her of her own father, who had passed away 3 years earlier. Her father had always taught her that compassion wasn't about convenience, it was about doing the right thing even when it cost you something. Emma made a quick decision and pulled over to the curb just ahead of the old man. She rolled down the passenger window, rain immediately spattering onto the worn upholstery. "Excuse me, sir," she called out. "Are you all right? Do you need help?" The old man looked up, water streaming down his face, his pale blue eyes meeting hers. For a moment, he seemed confused, as if he wasn't quite sure where he was. Then he nodded slowly. "I seem to have gotten myself into a bit of trouble," he said, his voice cultured and refined despite his obvious distress. "My car broke down several blocks back, and my phone is dead. I've been trying to find a taxi or somewhere to wait, but in this weather..." He trailed off, looking utterly defeated. Emma didn't hesitate. She unlocked the doors and got out, immediately getting soaked as she hurried around to help him. "Get in, let me take you home," she said firmly, supporting his elbow as he made his way to the passenger side. The old man was tall but frail, and she could feel him trembling, whether from cold or exhaustion she couldn't tell. She helped him into the seat, folded his cane carefully, and placed it in the back before returning to the driver's side. Once inside, she cranked up the heat and grabbed a somewhat clean towel from her gym bag in the back seat. "Here, dry your face at least. You're absolutely soaked through." The old man accepted the towel gratefully, pressing it against his face and silver hair. "Thank you," he said quietly. "I apologize for the inconvenience. I'm not usually so helpless, but today has been rather challenging." As Emma pulled back into traffic, she glanced at him with concern. He looked to be in his 70s, impeccably dressed despite being drenched, with an air of dignity that even his current circumstances couldn't diminish. "No apology necessary," Emma replied warmly. "Everyone needs help sometimes. Where do you live? I'll take you home." The old man gave her an address in the Gold Coast neighborhood, one of the most affluent areas of Chicago. Emma felt a momentary flicker of surprise but kept her expression neutral. She had suspected he came from money based on his clothing and manner of speech, but the Gold Coast was where Chicago's wealthiest residents lived in historic mansions and luxury high-rises. During the 20-minute drive, they talked. The old man introduced himself as Robert Harrington, and Emma shared her name in return. She mentioned that she was running late to pick up her daughter, and Robert immediately looked concerned. "Please, don't let me make you any later," he insisted. "You can drop me anywhere with a phone, truly." But Emma shook her head. "I'll get you home first. Lily's used to me being a little late sometimes. It's more important that you're safe." As they drove through the rain-slicked streets, Robert asked about her life with genuine interest. Emma found herself opening up in a way she rarely did with strangers. She told him about losing her husband, David, in a construction accident 4 years ago, about raising Lily alone, about the constant struggle to make ends meet while trying to give her daughter a stable, happy childhood. Robert listened with complete attention, asking thoughtful questions and expressing sincere empathy. There was something about him that made Emma feel heard and valued, not pitted or judged. In turn, Robert shared a little about himself, mentioning that he had built a successful business over his lifetime, but that success had come with its own costs. He spoke briefly about his late wife, Margaret, who had passed away 2 years earlier, and the loneliness that followed. "Money can't buy the things that truly matter," he said quietly, staring out at the rain. "I learned that lesson far too late in life." There was such profound sadness in his voice that Emma reached over and briefly squeezed his hand. "It's never too late to appreciate what matters," she said gently. When they arrived at Robert's address, Emma's eyes widened despite herself. It was a magnificent limestone mansion, the kind she had only seen in movies or magazines. Wrought iron gates, a circular driveway, and immaculate landscaping that even the storm couldn't diminish. A security guard emerged from a small gatehouse, his expression changing from professional vigilance to shock when he recognized Robert in the passenger seat. The gates opened immediately. Emma pulled up to the grand entrance, where warm light spilled from tall windows. Robert turned to her, his pale eyes serious and grateful. "Emma, I cannot thank you enough for your kindness. You have no idea what this meant to me today. May I at least give you something for your trouble, for your gasoline and time?" Emma smiled and shook her head firmly. "Absolutely not. I'm just glad I could help. Please get inside, get warm and dry, and take care of yourself, Mr. Harrington." Robert studied her face for a long moment, as if memorizing it. "You're a remarkable woman, Emma Clarke. Your daughter is very fortunate to have you as a mother." He carefully extracted a business card from his wallet, which had somehow stayed relatively dry in his inner jacket pocket. "Please, take this. If you or your daughter ever need anything at all, I hope you'll call me." Emma accepted the card politely, though she had no intention of ever using it. She wasn't the type to ask for help, and she certainly wasn't looking for reward for doing a decent thing. After making sure Robert made it safely inside, where a housekeeper immediately rushed to attend to him, Emma drove away into the rain, already focused on getting to Lily. The next morning dawned bright and clear, the storm having passed during the night. Emma was in the middle of her usual chaotic morning routine, making breakfast while helping Lily find her library books and packing lunches, when someone knocked on their apartment door. Emma frowned, wiping her hands on a dish towel. They rarely had visitors, especially this early. She opened the door to find a professional-looking woman in her 40s holding a large envelope and a clipboard. "Emma Clarke?" the woman asked with a warm smile. "Yes, that's me," Emma replied cautiously. "I'm Jennifer Martinez, from Harrington Legal Group. May I come in for a moment? I have something important to discuss with you." Confused but curious, Emma let her in, asking Lily to finish her cereal while the adults talked. Jennifer sat at their small kitchen table and opened the envelope. "Mr. Robert Harrington contacted our office first thing this morning with some very specific instructions regarding you and your daughter. He wanted to express his gratitude for your kindness to him yesterday evening." Emma immediately felt uncomfortable. That really wasn't necessary. "I just gave him a ride home. Anyone would have done the same." Jennifer's smile widened. "Actually, no. Many people wouldn't have. Mr. Harrington was quite clear about that. He spent 4 hours trying to get help yesterday before you stopped. Dozens of people passed him by." She pulled out several documents. "Mr. Harrington has established an educational trust fund for your daughter, Lily. It will cover her education expenses from now through university, including private school if you choose, all the way to graduate school if she wishes to pursue it." Emma's mouth fell open, and she actually felt dizzy. "What? No, I can't possibly accept that. It's too much. I barely know him. I just drove him home." Jennifer continued calmly, clearly expecting this reaction. "There's more. Mr. Harrington is offering you a position at Harrington Medical Supply Corporation. He owns one of the largest medical supply and pharmaceutical distribution companies in the country. Given your background as a nurse, he thought you might be interested in their patient advocacy and healthcare outreach department. The salary is quite substantial, with full benefits, and the hours would allow you to spend more time with your daughter." She named a figure that was nearly triple what Emma currently made, and Emma actually had to sit down, her legs suddenly weak. This couldn't be real. Things like this didn't happen to people like her. Over the next hour, as Lily played in her room, Jennifer explained everything in detail. Robert Harrington was indeed one of Chicago's wealthiest businessmen, though he kept a low profile. He had built his empire from nothing, starting with a single pharmacy and expanding into a multi-billion-dollar corporation. He had a reputation for philanthropy and for taking care of people who worked for him. But this, Jennifer admitted, was extraordinary even by Robert's standards. He wants me to be very clear about something, Jennifer said seriously. This is not charity, and there are no strings attached. You don't have to take the job if it doesn't interest you. The educational fund for Lily is established regardless. He simply wanted to repay kindness with opportunity. He said that in his 76 years, very few people have helped him without knowing who he was or what he could do for them. Your generosity, expecting nothing in return, reminded him of why he built his company in the first place, to help people. Emma was overwhelmed, tears streaming down her face. She thought of all the nights she had laid awake worrying about how she would afford Lily's future, about the overtime shifts that took her away from her daughter, about the constant fear that one emergency would destroy the fragile stability she had managed to create. I don't understand, she whispered. Why would he do this for a stranger? Jennifer reached across the table and squeezed her hand. Because you treated him like a human being who needed help, not like Robert Harrington, billionaire. Because you made yourself late picking up your daughter to ensure an old man got home safely. Because you refused money and asked for nothing in return. That's increasingly rare in this world, and Mr. Harrington recognizes and values it. That afternoon, after dropping Lily at school and calling in a personal day at the hospital, Emma drove to the Harrington building downtown. She had Jennifer's card and an appointment to meet with Robert. The building was sleek and modern, occupying an entire block. The receptionist was expecting her and immediately escorted her to the top floor. Robert's office was enormous, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering breathtaking views of Lake Michigan. But what struck Emma most was how warm and personal it felt, despite its size. Photos of family covered the credenza, books lined the shelves, and comfortable furniture created intimate conversation areas. Robert stood when she entered, looking completely different from the drenched, confused old man she had helped the night before. He was impeccably dressed in a tailored navy suit, his silver hair perfectly styled, his blue eyes sharp and alert. But his smile was genuinely warm as he came around the desk to greet her. Emma, thank you for coming. Please, sit down. Can I get you anything? Coffee, tea, water. Emma sat in one of the leather chairs, feeling completely out of her depth. Mr. Harrington, I don't even know what to say. What you're offering, it's incredible, but it's too much. I can't possibly accept all of that for just giving you a ride. Robert sat across from her, leaning forward earnestly. Emma, may I tell you what happened yesterday before you found me? She nodded, and he continued. I had a series of meetings downtown, and my driver was supposed to pick me up at 6 o'clock. Due to a miscommunication, he went to the wrong building. My phone died. I've been having some health issues that affect my memory and orientation sometimes, and between the rain and the confusion, I became quite lost. I tried to flag down taxis, but none would stop. I went into several businesses asking to use a phone, and I was either ignored or asked to leave. People on the street walked past me as if I were invisible. I'm not used to being invisible, Emma. I'm used to people knowing who I am, treating me a certain way because of my wealth and position. Last night, stripped of all that, I was just a confused old man in the rain, and the world showed me exactly how it treats people with no power, no status, no utility. He paused, emotion crossing his distinguished features. And then you stopped. You didn't know who I was. I was wearing an expensive suit, but for all you knew I could have been anyone, dangerous even. You were late for your daughter, you had every reason to keep driving, but you stopped. You helped me into your car, you gave me your towel, you drove me home, and you refused payment. Do you know how long it's been since someone did something for me expecting nothing in return? Emma listened, beginning to understand. You reminded me of why I started my company 45 years ago, Robert continued. I grew up poor, Emma. My father was a janitor. My mother cleaned houses. I built my business because I wanted to help people access healthcare, make medicine and medical supplies affordable and available. Somewhere along the way, as the company grew and I became wealthy, I lost touch with that mission. I became isolated in my world of board meetings and financial reports. Last night, you brought me back to what matters. You showed me the kindness I've been too insulated to see or give in recent years. Emma's eyes filled with tears. I lost my husband 4 years ago, she said quietly. We didn't have much, but we had each other. After he died, I had to figure out how to survive, how to take care of Lily, how to keep going when everything felt impossible. People helped me along the way, small kindnesses that made all the difference. A neighbor who babysat when I had to work late, a coworker who gave me her daughter's outgrown clothes for Lily, the school secretary who made sure Lily got breakfast when money was tight. I learned that kindness is what holds the world together, especially for people like me who don't have much else to rely on. When I saw you in the rain, I just thought about what I would want someone to do if that were my father, or if that were me someday. Robert smiled, his eyes bright. That's exactly it. That's the humanity I'd forgotten in my isolated world of wealth. Emma, please understand, this isn't charity. The educational fund for Lily is set up and unchangeable. Even if you walk out of here right now and never speak to me again, that money is hers. But the job offer is genuine because I believe you have exactly the perspective my company needs. We've become too corporate, too focused on profit margins and shareholder value. I want to refocus on our mission of helping people access healthcare. I need people who understand what it's like to struggle, who remember what matters. You would be invaluable in that role. He paused, then added gently, but if you prefer to continue nursing, I absolutely respect that. I can simply help make that easier for you, perhaps with a scholarship program for your continued education, or connections to positions with better hours and pay. This is about giving you choices, Emma, not obligating you to anything. Emma thought about Lily, about the opportunities this could provide for her daughter. She thought about her own exhaustion, the constant worry, the knowledge that one medical emergency or car breakdown could devastate them financially. And she thought about the possibility of using her experience to help others in similar situations, of being part of something bigger than just surviving day to day. I'd like to learn more about the position, she said finally. I love nursing, I still do, but if I could help people on a larger scale, help families like mine access the care they need, that would be meaningful to me. But I need you to understand something, Mr. Harrington. I'm grateful, more grateful than I can express, but I want to earn whatever position you're offering. I don't want special treatment or to be hired just because I helped you. If I take this job, I need to know it's because I'm qualified and capable, not just because of one act of kindness. Robert's face broke into a genuine smile of respect. I wouldn't expect anything less from you. And please, call me Robert. I think we've moved beyond formalities. Over the next 3 hours, Robert introduced Emma to various department heads, showed her around the company, explained the work they did and where he saw opportunities for improvement. Emma was impressed by the scope of operations but also by the culture Robert had created. Employees seemed genuinely happy, and there was a strong emphasis on work-life balance and family. By the end of the tour, Emma knew she wanted this job, not because of the salary, though that would transform her life, but because she could genuinely make a difference. 3 months later, Emma sat in her new office on the 10th floor of the Harrington building, reviewing proposals for a program that would provide free medical supplies to underserved communities. She had taken courses to prepare for her new role, and she was thriving in ways she never imagined possible. Lily was enrolled in an excellent school with small classes and individual attention, already showing marked improvement in confidence and academics. They had moved to a safe apartment in a good neighborhood with actual space and a park nearby. Emma no longer worked double shifts or worried about unexpected expenses destroying their financial stability. But more than the material improvements, Emma had found purpose and a sense that her own struggles had prepared her for something meaningful. Robert had become an unexpected friend and mentor. He and Emma had lunch weekly, discussing company initiatives but also sharing their lives. He doted on Lily, who called him Uncle Robert, and Emma could see how much joy the relationship brought him. He had been lonely in his vast mansion, isolated by wealth and the loss of his wife. Emma,